right? So, driving from the airport in Nashville here yesterday, got a phone call from, um, uh, I'll give you his first name, Rob, who is has another job, but what he really wants to do, really has a great talent for, is lyrics. So he and I have been, we've got 4 albums out there now, and we're going to start a 5th album with Brad Paisley. Uh, Brad's been a longtime friend of mine, and we've done some stuff together, but Rob and I have done 4 albums, and we wrote 14 songs anticipating that we do another album. We sold it to Cleopatra Records, and I interested Brad in doing the music. So in a couple of weeks, I'll be back in Nashville. Something in my pocket. What could that little green thing be? What is that? What could that be? I don't take things. Somebody's planted a little green thing. So the phone rings. My phone rings while we're driving, and it's Rob. We've been waiting for Brad, Rob and Brad. So Brad is going on tour, and he's busy putting his tour together, rehearsing, and he's making time to sit down in Nashville at some point and doing the music to the 14 songs that Rob and I have written. I've done a really terrific song. We're perfecting the way of telling a story. For example, after we finished the last album, and another pill, and I said, Rob, I'd like to do an album on love, but not, not romantic or sensual love. Love of other things in life, love of health. Because if I'm healthy, I can love you. Love of music, love of mystery, love, that kind of love. And make them all pointed towards the ability to increase your desire to love. So feeling love increases your desire to love. So love of a sunset. Has anybody ever written? I'm sure they have. The love of the mystery and the awe of a sunset, or somebody in line today brought 4-month-old baby dressed in a Star Trek T-shirt, little tiny baby this big, and wanted me to sign the T-shirt. So I got this little baby in front of me. Who's that? Yeah, smiling. I expected the kid to say Captain Kirk, but he didn't. But I mean, that's awesome. Little baby smiling at me while I'm signing its shirt. It's 4 months old. It's just been born. And it's looking at me without fear, like, oh, yeah, man, look at that. And it's awesome. You can write a song about a baby and how awesome a baby is. Or for me, I have 3 girls, three daughters, and watching them grow up from, when they're 1 and 2, they're not, it's more mechanical. You got to change the diapers and all that, or somebody else will change the diaper. But when they get to be about 3 or 4, you have these little girls, they're so precious. I'm captivated immediately by a baby, a young lady, a young girl. All of those things are awesome. And I know I'm filled with love. So we've written 14 songs. One that comes to mind is Mess. I love my mask. Have I got a mask on as an actor? Or do we all wear masks in our various roles as husband, wife, lover, and student? Whatever the moment is, are we wearing our mask? Do you dare go out? One of the lines, I don't dare go out without my mask. So it's the love of masks. So that's the idea of the album. So the phone, so there's Rob on the phone. I'm passing Nashville. I'm passing Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro. I'm passing Murfreesboro, of which I have some history. I'm passing Murfreesboro because I was connected with with uh, electronic things like e-coins and stuff like that. And Murfreesboro was a coal town that's gone into disrepute because nobody's using coal anymore. And what these people had wanted to do was buy this building in Murfreesboro and put all kinds of electrical producing panels all over the building. And what they call it is mining electronic things using solar panels. So there is I hope, there's a building in Murfreesboro that I was a part of that is mining electronic things, whatever they are. I mean, coins, whatever. But the problem with the coins is it uses so much electrical energy. It's a problem. And it only works if there's green energy. So I was part of a company that I hope put all these panels in this building so they could mine electronically in Murfreesboro, and I'm passing it by while Rob is telling me that we've got the dates with Brad. We've been waiting for a guy whose name is in my phone, I can't remember it, who's a big time music producer. That was what Brad was waiting for the producer to free up. So in the middle of next month, I'll be back in Nashville making a new album with Brad Paisley. And the title will probably be something like Things I've Loved or Love or, loving or in that area. But I'm so thrilled that after several months of waiting for Brad to free up, we finally got the dates to make this what will be a wonderful album. At the same time, last month I was in the Antarctic. Uh, this guy was producing this trip, this liner, this luxury liner, medium sized, 200 cabins, to go to the Antarctic, do a trip to the Antarctic. He asked me come aboard and entertain in the best way I can. So I said yes. And so I went on board and I saw my old friend, Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know that name? Right. 3 people know that name. So I've been on Neil's talk show several times, and we've bandied about in the view of his towering intellect and his ability to talk on any subject. I find myself in the position of being like an attack dog. What are you talking about? How do you know that the speed of light is constant when there's black energy and black matter obscuring everything? So Neil, no, the speed of light is exactly whatever it is, 100 million miles per split second, whatever that. Does anybody know the speed of light? Wait a minute, wait a minute. 300 million. What? 186,000 miles per second. Pump. So it's gone 186,000 miles. That doesn't sound right. No, I mean, it sounds so, you're absolutely sure. 186,000 miles per second. Okay. So the speed of light is a constant, and by which scientists measure so many things from the stars. Oh, that's 186,000 miles away because it took a second for that photon of light to reach your retina. Okay. So the mystery of space, the universe, where they've discovered, and here's part of what I argue, because nobody knows. So Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't know either, although he pretends. So they've discovered a galaxy, 3.8 billion years, 3.8 billion light years away. So my question to Neil is, okay, I get it. 186 miles a second, the photon of light leaves that galaxy. It's picked up by either, by the Webb telescope, and boom, it reaches my eye 3.8 billion. No, it's more than that. 13.8 billion years, 3.8 billion for the galaxy, but 13.8 billion years that galaxy was out there. So I said to him, okay, so it's taken 13.8 billion years for it to reach my eye. Where is it now? Where is it now? We see where it was 13.8 billion years ago, but in that time, it's gone. Where did it go, Neil? He couldn't answer. So that's the kind of thing I was doing on board the ship for a couple of weeks while we were in. But we hit it off so well. So I come home and I'm thinking, geez, the real question is, why do we explore? Why did those three? There were three really interesting, probably more, but the three people I focused on in the Antarctica was Shackleton, whose boat he sailed into in the 1914, 15, somewhere around there, early 1900. He sails his ship, he handpicks. Let me take one step further back. Ernest Shackleton failed at everything. Good-looking guy, Englishman, turn of the century. England is at its peak. England has conquered India, Australia, Canada, Africa. I mean, it's the biggest empire that ever was, and it's governed by this little island of England, all because of their ships. So they're English. How do you do? Well, I'm English, and we're conquering you. We're annexing you. I'm here in India. We've got India. We've got Canada, and now we're looking at the South Pole. We're going to go to the South Pole. So this one is Shackleton, failed at everything. Even failed at a previous South Pole adventure. Now sailing with hand-picked 28 gentlemen, a hand-picked photographer, a hand-picked guy who navigation, hand-picked, and he sails into one of the inlets, and the sea ice, grabs the ship, and he can't move. He can't move for 2 years. 28 guys of him are locked in the ice on a sailing ship. Instead of finally melting, it gets worse, and the ice crushes the Endurance, his boat. They scramble off the boat. They have 3 lifeboats, and the 28 guys, those 3 lifeboats, 100 miles to where the sea ice is now melted, it finishes, and there's sea, and they get in, and they row 500 miles in the worst oceans on Earth, South Sea, and they get to Elephant Island. We were there. The winds, and I've got so much to tell you. The winds, adiabatic winds sometimes, go 100 miles, come out of nowhere because it's cold, and it's hot, it's dense, it's suppressed, mountains, comes off the mountains at 100 miles an hour. And the only way they take us around are in those rubber Zodiacs. So a Zodiac's like a balloon. 100-mile-an-hour wind, you could probably fly back to England. So we're in Zodiacs. And a guy said, I've been here 10 times on 10 cruises. I've never been able to get to Elephant Island. Where? They rode, and this guy would get an occasional glimpse of the sun. They land in Elephant Island. They say to 20 of the 28 guys, you guys stay here. Take the 2 boats, turn them upside down, live there, we'll be back. And they row 800 miles east to South Georgia Island, where there's a whaling station. So the island's like this, there's a whaling station here. They arrive, they're so exhausted, they can't get the strength to go around. They beach their boat, the 8 guys, and they climb like 1,700 feet and slide down the ice to the whaling station here. And from what I've read and what I'm told, they've been gone 2 years, and all of a sudden they appear at the whaling station. My name is Shatner. I need a boat. We've got to go rescue them. And the whalers say, what are you talking about? 4 times they tried to leave the whaling station. The weather was so bad they couldn't make it. The 4th time they finally get around and they pick up the guys on Elephant Island, and the 28 original men make their way back to him. He saved all 28 men. He failed to reach the South Pole once again, but he was lauded as a hero because he saved his men. And it's those kind of people. There's Magellan is another incredible story. So the question in my mind was, why explore? Why do you want to go to Mars, for Christ's sake? What are you going to do on Mars? It's going to take you a half to 3/4 of a year to get to Mars on our little primitive rockets. And when they unfurled the sun-gathering mirrors in the Webb telescope, they parked the Webb telescope 1,000,000 miles from Earth in a area that's called Lagrange, which means the Lagrange area, like a stream of water, every so often, for one reason or another, on a river, the river isn't as extreme, the current isn't as extreme in certain areas in the river as it is in others, for one reason or another. For one reason or another, the gravity forces are less in Lagrange. They parked the Webb telescope in a Lagrange, and it's using less energy, staying in orbit. So when they unfurl the panel, almost immediately one of the panels was struck by a meteorite. And when I heard that, I thought, the moment they unfurled the panels, it hadn't been there a month, and it was struck by a meteor. Small, destroyed that thing, but not the telescope. When you're on your way to Mars, those little pebbles are your death if it penetrates. And why wouldn't it penetrate? Nothing we had can defy a rock coming at that speed. It's almost sure death. You have to go to Mars. You have to live there for 6 months. And 6 to 8 months back, 1.5 years, 2 years. Why? What have you done? Oh, you should have seen Mars. It was so dusty. You know, we had to wear the suits for 6 months. Couldn't sleep. I got a rash here. I mean, the impulse. There's this mountain. I was there. I was in the foothills of Mount Everest. Okay, that's another whole story. I'm looking at Mount Everest and I'm thinking, who the heck What's that? Well, I got to climb that. Why do you want to climb it? It's way up. It's 32,000 feet. You can't breathe. I know, but I got to go up there. Why? Why does a scientist take a experimental drug and say, I'm not going to jeopardize anybody else? I'll put it in my own. Scientists have done that, jeopardize themselves in their exploration of medicine. So so I came home from the Antarctic and I thought the question of exploration is really a vivid one. Who would do that? What is the reason? And I began to write a speech. I thought if somebody wants me to talk about this subject, I'll write it down. Like, I'll choose 3 avenues of exploration: geographical, medical, and spiritual. You know, original man, how am I doing? Are you interested? Primitive man painted the animals around them on the walls of caves. Now we see them. We see beautiful drawings of many animals that are now extinct on the caves of walls of caves. And in some places, absolutely no way of getting in except down here, around there, and they had to have torches. And then they went into these places that were so frightening. Spelunking? Who the heck wants to go spelunking? Why would you want to go into a cave that's never been explored? Oh, I'm going to go down there, I go down there, I go down there. How do I get back? I'm lost in a cave, underground. Nobody's going to find you because they don't know where you are. You don't know where you are. Why would you want to go way down there? There's a story that has remained with me. I can't forget it. A son of a spawner. He was in his 20s, I believe. Went spelunking. And he fell down through a hole head first. And he couldn't get out. So they were looking, where's George? Where's George? George, oh, there's George. My God, George, what are you doing? And they try and they can't pull him out. Now they get more people. They get ropes. They can't pull him out. No. He's breathing carbon dioxide, oxygen and carbon dioxide, and he's dying. He's slowly dying of asphyxiation while people are all around trying to pull him out. They never did pull him out. They cemented it over, and that's his grave. In a place nobody will ever see. In the deep, why would you want to do that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why do we explore in that manner? What is it in us? We're safe in a tree, okay? We're fine. The animals down below aren't eating us. We're in a tree. We're happy. Some idiot comes off the tree and walks around. Oh, look at that. I can walk. And becomes hominid. Why would they want to do that? What's the object of going to Mars? And that was what I started to write about. And then it occurred to me, why don't I get Neil deGrasse Tyson involved? And maybe we can talk about this very thing. I mean, listen to every word you're listening. This is what Neil deGrasse Tyson and I are going to do in June in a theater near Seattle. We're going to talk. It's going to be called Rockin', and we'll be in 2 rocking chairs in a theater. Rockin' with Bill and Neil. And I don't know what the show is about. I mean, I'm fearful about what it is. So I've been doing all kinds of studies about these explorers. And the more I think about it, you don't want to know about Scott. Raoul Scott. No. Robert Scott. Raoul Amundsen. Robert Scott. Famous explorer. He's got the arrogance of the English explorers, the English men great adventurers. He went to Africa, went to Australia, and went all over the world and planted the flag. We're here. The English in my hair. They're going to discover you and make you Englishmen because we're very good. That's we're English. I'm Canadian. So he doesn't do. He plans, but he plans it in his arrogant way. I'm going to take tractors and I'm going to take horses. And we'll go to the south, we'll discover that we'll go to the south, we'll be the first of the south. Well, we'll take some time. But we'll take tractors and horses. And we'll dress in good English wool. And off he goes. And he makes it. But he can't make it back because he's not eating enough calories to supply the energy they need to haul these things. Because the horses died, the machinery died, everything died but the dogs. They ate the dogs, and they didn't make it back, and they died. Because of his, in my opinion, his arrogance and not pre-planning the way Amundsen, Norwegian, did. They went to live with the Inuit in the North Pole and learned to wear skins of the animals that lived there, eat fat, the blubber, which gave them enough calories, and take dogs and sleds. So he had it, and he made it pre-planning. I studied these people in this last couple of months, pondering the question, why would they do that? And now Neil and I are going to be in the theater, and if we sell enough tickets, maybe we'll tour and rocking with Neil and the building is building. So thank you. So what I discovered for myself, I mean, I'm kind of inventing this. I may have read it, but it makes sense. The reason these people go exploring is because how many billions of us human beings have lived in since history, since we became mankind? How many billions of people? We're 8 billion right now. So in 7 years we'd die and there'll be another 8 billion. Billions upon billions of bodies buried in the earth, under the sea, and nobody knows they lived. But Magellan, it's the Magellan Straits. Every place that the explorers gained a place, one of the main avenues past South America into the Pacific Ocean is the Magellan Straits and Ross Passage. Ross was a big explorer. They named the Ross Passage. The names will live a lot longer than if you were on a statue or if you had a building in gold with your name on it. That, to me, is the reason why these people go out and explore, because it gives them, it makes them different from everybody else. And there's some reason to think you'll remember them for the feats they did. So it's an act of ego, really. I want to be remembered above the billions of people that lived and died, and we don't remember them. 50 years after they're gone, 25, 5. I mean, you forget. The beloved dies in your arms, and they're gone, and life goes on, and eventually your life goes on, and the memory begins to fade in most cases. But to discover something where nobody else has ever been. Imagine the name of the first person to land on Mars. We all know Armstrong landed on the moon. You'll never forget one small step, one giant leap for mankind. You'll never forget that. That's part of our history, mankind's history. We went to the bloody moon, man. And we never see the far side. And the far side may have water, and the poles have water. And we're going to build a building. My gosh, the first person who was on there was an American named Armstrong. For God's sakes. if you were a writer, what are you going to name that guy? Let's name him Armstrong. Oh, good. And somebody else said, no, it's too on the nose, man. So the journey of exploration, which we're all on, by the way, to further, we're all on a journey of exploration. As we get older, we see things, we should see things more and more. For example, when I see, am I okay doing all this? So I thought the spiritual exploration of man is equally interesting as any. So there was an original man painting the pictures on the wall, and they believed that everything, those animals and everything, had a spirit, animism. Everything had a spirit. Everything, out of everything, everything that's alive, everything that's growing, mountains, everything emanated a spirit. I don't know whether they thought in the spirit, and I'm sure they must, because the next level is, well, if everything's a spirit, where is the core? But eventually, maybe Zoroaster came up with the idea of one God, all these spirits. Well, maybe it's all one thing. And so the idea of a one God occurred to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Jesus, and Buddha, and all those other religious leaders that came after. But the exploration of the spirit, like having learned them and having read as much as I can about nature, like there's a book that absolutely stunned me. It's called The Mother Tree. And we now know that trees communicate with the other trees. So for a long time, we've known that pheromones, when a beetle attacked one tree, the tree released a pheromone that went on the air and warned other trees downwind. There's a beetle here that's eating me. And they all made their sap a little sour so the beetles wouldn't eat them. More recently, we've discovered something much more profound. So there's fungi under the ground. And fungi have what's the things the tendril? What's it? What's it? But my sister. Who said that? Perfect. So fungi grow along roots that are extended, called mycelium. The mycelium reach from tree to tree because the tree needs, we've recently discovered, because they were replanting trees where they would take all the trees down off a mountain and replant, like we're going to replant, and they don't grow. Oh, wait a minute. They need fungi. Oh, okay. So now they begun to put fungi in the ground. When they replant a tree, the tree grows. They've discovered that the mother tree is sending electrochemical signals along the mycelium to the other trees. It's sending our brains in our dendrite work on electrochemical signal. And it goes along, oh, there's a girl. Oh, look at that girl. The trees are sending the same signals, much slower, probably not as they're probably not looking at girls, but they're aware, far more aware than we ever thought. How far away is a tree sending an electrochemical signal along a pattern and us in our brain? This incredible thing we have up here that nobody's able to explain. How connected are we all to everything? The connections blown me away as the more I read about it. Slime solving a puzzle to get to the sun faster than a person can. Vines killing to get to the sun. I'm going to live. Life has an imperative everywhere. There's no question in my mind that life exists all over the universe. Has to. We can't be that unique. And it doesn't have to be carbon-based, as we know from Star Trek. So the wonderment and the mystery of everything that surrounds us, of you and me, is so magical. If not to think of that, not to be aware of that all the time, even in the worst of your misery, it'll evolve. And 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 where we are, the life, the few moments we're given to be aware. Because that little baby, shirt I side, looked at me, smiled. And I mean, it's like brings tears to your eyes in that awareness, even then, 3 months old, just born. Where am I? I was so comfortable before. Why am I here? And and that infant grows up and grows old. And I'm told by doctors, I recently did another thing. I'm so excited by what I've just been doing. I hope I'm not monopolizing. I So I've become friends for a number of reasons with a cancer doctor who's Dr. McGorney is his name. And he's a specialist in cancer. And I, very obviously, for reasons I don't need to explain, have become more and more aware of death. Is that death? No, that's not death. I'm 94 years old. And no, no. Applaud when I'm 95. I'm 94 years old. I mean, it's hovering. And I've got all my senses. I'm able to talk to a crowd and make some kind of sense. Amen. Who said that? Amen, my friend. My salute. It's good. Gotta know each other. Um, so Dr. Negroni, I've become friendly. We had dinner, and he said, we were having dinner, and he said, you know, I'm bringing up 4 or 5 doctors from all over the world, from different areas, Brazil, England, because I forgot what my company is working on these cancer cures and all that. And he said, you know, that by peering into cancer, we can see the health of the human. We can tell you that you're going to die soon or live longer by your health. He said, you can connect cancer and old age. He said, yes, we can give you a readout since we're reading out all the cancer possibilities. We are at the same time reading out all the health possibilities. We can give you your body's age as against your chronological age. And he did me. He took my blood, put it through these incredible machines. It turns out I'm 71. I said, could you make that 70? No, I'm 71. But that's part of what he's doing. So last week, I do a show called The Unexplained. Do you know it? So the company that does The Unexplained is Prometheus. So I said to Prometheus, the heads of Prometheus, look, I've got a chance to go and film half a dozen doctors talking about the very limits of our knowledge of cancer and thusly our knowledge of aging. I would like to film it. Would you guys like to pay for it? And they said yes. So last Monday and Tuesday, I spent 2 days from 9 to 5 or 6 intently talking to Nagorny and the other half a dozen doctors about how a cell works, the interior, the energy thing of the cell, the, the mitochondria. Did you say mitochondria? We had, what's your name? Robert? Who? Okay, I got you. Don't go away. I got to talk to you. Okay. Mitochondria is the energy part of your cell. And as you age, because the cell replicates, the mitochondria replicates every week, I mean, quite frequently. And then as you age, it loses its ability to replicate itself completely. And finally, it ages, so it dies, the cell dies, and you begin to die. Thank you. So there is not just him, but there is a program of re-energizing, putting new mitochondria into your body and sustaining your age. Are you aware of that? The mitochondria. Okay. So there's a skedaddle of scientists working on the cure. There are many cancers. Cancers comes in every form. So when they say cure for cancer, you can cure one cancer, many cures. Don't tell anybody. But there are many cancers. And so they've got a good beat on several, but every cancer is different and requires a different treatment. But in the treatment of cancer, they're treating old age. And I've got 2 days of interviews on film, and they're editing it right now. And I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be something. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't give you a chance to ask a question, but I'm so caught up in the enthusiasm of what I'm doing. I hope you share it with me. Thank you so much for being here.
Complete nerve authority.